finally have our first real look at how the prototype is actually gonna look in Puppy Playtime Chapter 5. And honestly, that alone would be insane. But what really hits hard is that a brand new clue just dropped. One that might actually confirm who the prototype truly is. And if this is real, Mob Entertainment has been trolling us since 2025, and almost nobody noticed. On top of that, they officially revealed what that weird suspicious countdown on the mysterious website was even for. So don't dip yet, because this gets real good by the end. Now yeah, let's get to the good stuff. The prototype's true appearance and what its real identity might be. Ever since the Salvation video dropped on Mob Entertainment's channel, the community completely lost its mind. People started pumping out concept art non-stop, trying to imagine what this thing might look like. And to be fair, some of those designs are insanely well done. But there's the pattern that keeps popping up again and again. A single eye, a mouth packed with huge teeth, and this deeply unsettling vibe, almost like a twisted jester. A lot of that comes from the hat people keep giving it. Honestly, it looks a lot like Pomni from the Digital Circus, but possessed. Here's the weird part though. In the latest official video, we never actually see the prototype's face. We only see its legs and those metallic hands, things we've already seen before. So, the real question is, how the hell are we so sure the prototype even has a face? And this is where the gossip gets juicy, because the answer is yes, it does. This theory starts with the official illustrations that Mob Entertainment's artists have been releasing over the past few months. The most important one? An illustration posted on Halloween 2025. If you really paid attention, that image hides details that reveal way more than it seems at first glance. From memes to a mysterious hand grabbing a tree that sparked thousands of theories. But the real bomb dropped later. A fan straight up asked one of the designers who worked on those illustrations if all the secrets in that image had already been discovered. And her response, no. There was still one hidden secret left. And it was so well hidden that not even the biggest fans had noticed it. So people went full detective mode, scanning the illustration like maniacs. Some even joked about using x-rays. And that's when they found it. A pumpkin! Just a simple pumpkin, but with a single eye and massive teeth. The exact same design fans had already been imagining for the prototype. And here's the key detail. That illustration came out way before any official trailers or real information about Chapter 5. At that point, we didn't even know what this character was supposed to look like. Now, with the most recent trailers on the table, there's barely any room left for doubt. In the Salvation video, we're giving a brutal hint. The prototype has one eye. When Jessica walks into that room, she freezes after noticing two white dots floating in the darkness, like something's watching her. At first, a lot of people thought it was catnap. And honestly, that makes sense. Jessica worked directly on his experiment and was involved in the brainwashing inside Playtime Co. In fact, in the videos that showed the experiment conversion process, they hammer one detail over and over again. When a subject is transformed, their eyes turn completely white. We've seen that before. So yeah, those white dots are eyes. No question about it. But the truly disturbing part comes later. Further into the same video, when Jessica looks up and faces the prototype directly, we can't make out any facial features at all. Nothing! Except one thing. A single white dot, which could be its eye. One eye! Exactly like the pumpkin! And when you combine that with what the designer said, it becomes clear that pumpkin wasn't just decoration, it was a teaser. Probably the very first official reveal of the prototype's face, and we didn't even realize it. And let's be real, the design is terrifying. If that's actually what the prototype looks like, Chapter 5 could end up being one of the most disturbing entries in the entire saga. So yeah, brace yourselves. But hold on, because we're not done yet. There's one more suspicious detail left, the infamous jester hat. And no, that doesn't appear directly in the Halloween illustration. So the real question is, where did the community even get that idea from? The answer is hidden in another official piece of art. In the 2025 Christmas illustration, there's a painting hanging on the wall that, at first glance, looks completely irrelevant. But if you look closely, that painting shows a jester. And here's the thing. Throughout the entire series so far, there hasn't been a single jester-type character. So why put that there? Especially when we already know Mob Entertainment's illustrations are never random. The Halloween one was packed with clues. This Christmas one is no different. Nothing is here just because. And once you start connecting the dots, the idea of the prototype having a jester-like aesthetic stops sounding crazy. For a long time, the jester hat was pure speculation, until a new trailer dropped. One of those trailers that looks like it says nothing, but actually says way too much. In that trailer, we see several quick shots. But one stands out. Someone is holding a scalpel. When he turns, the metal reflects something for just a split second. It's blurry, but if you look closely, you can clearly make out part of a jester hat. The exact same kind shown in the painting from the Christmas illustration. Coincidence? I don't think so. At this point for me, that's the official design of the prototype in Puppy Playtime Chapter 5. But here's where it gets really interesting, because we don't just have visual clues anymore. A new theory also popped up about who the prototype might actually be. And no, it's not a brand new character. He's someone we already know, and probably didn't expect. In the final tape, we see the prototype kill Jessica, but right before that, there's a line of dialogue that's almost impossible to understand. The audio is distorted, voices overlap, everything's a mess. But some people in the community swear they can hear a very specific name in that chaos. Leith Pierre.
Please, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Please.
Listen to it as many times as you want, and tell me it doesn't sound at least a little similar. For anyone who doesn't remember him clearly, Leith Pierre was the director of innovation at Playtime Co., a key figure starting in Chapter 4. He was the direct successor of Elliot Ludwig, the company's founder, and one of the biggest players in the entire story. On top of that, he played a major role in the Bigger Bodies initiative, the experiment that turns children into massive toys like Huggy Wuggy, Mommy Long Legs, and Catnap. The theory sounds insane, sure, but it's not completely impossible. And for a moment, it actually sounds convincing. Way too convincing. It'll make sense for someone so deeply embedded in the system to eventually become the factory's ultimate monster. But this is where the theory starts to fall apart, and I've got reasons. In earlier VHS tapes, we can hear Leith Pierre talking to the prototype. That alone should destroy the idea that they're the same entity. Although, there's one detail people tend to ignore. We've already seen that the prototype can imitate voices and deceive others. It did exactly that with Ollie at the end of Chapter 4. So technically, yeah, it could be talking to itself. Even so, this theory still doesn't fully convince me. It's hard to believe that a character this important, this central to the factory's history, would end up being the prototype without Mob Entertainment treating it like a massive, undeniable reveal. It also makes zero sense for Jessica, a relatively normal employee, to know that the prototype was Leith Pierre. That kind of information would be ultra classified. If the director was still alive while the factory was operating, the most logical scenario is that the prototype attacked him during the Hour of Joy and incorporated him into its body. But in that case, Jessica would have no way of knowing who was inside. And to top it all off, I honestly don't think Mob Entertainment would drop a bomb that big in a simple trailer or an ARG piece before the full chapter even releases. If that reveal is real, they're saving it for the moment when it hurts the most. So for now, the prototype's identity remains in the shadows. We've got hints, reflections, fragments, but no definitive truth. Yeah, the theory's interesting and well put together, but with everything we've seen so far, it doesn't really feel like that's the direction they're going. And oh yeah, let's get to the last piece of this mess. That weird website with the countdown a lot of people noticed. Just in case anyone's lost, an ARG is basically a parallel story to the game, a massive puzzle meant to drop lore that doesn't fit clearly into the gameplay. Mob Entertainment rolls it out in fragments, videos, clues, hidden messages, strange details, with the usual mind games. In this case, the community had to solve a pretty brutal puzzle that took hours. And after all that work, what we got was a website with a countdown ending on February 11th, paired with a cold blonde message. Thank you for playing. Yeah, that hurt. But before jumping into insane conclusions, it's worth actually looking at the page. If you remove the text, what's left is the background image. It's not super clear, but everything points to it being a research room inside Playtime Co. On the door, you can see two scanners, one for the blue hand and one for the red hand, which instantly places us inside the factory. On the floor, there's a red and yellow fabric scattered everywhere. At first glance, it almost looks like blood. And pay attention to the colors, because once again, they line up perfectly with the jester prototype theory. Red and yellow. Way too clean for a match to ignore. On top of that, the page title is The End, and the URL reads End of the R, which is an expression used when someone's completely at their limit. So yeah, naturally a lot of people assumed this meant Chapter 5 would be the final Puppy Playtime ever. But relax, breathe. There's actually some good news. Someone dug into the site's internal code and found a file literally named ARG Countdown 2026. That confirms the countdown isn't marking the end of the game, it's marking the end of the ARG. The thank you for playing message isn't a final goodbye, it's just a nod to everyone who participated and solved the challenges Mob Entertainment dropped in the weeks leading up to the release. That said, don't get carried away either. There is absolutely nothing confirmed about Chapter 6, no announcement or official hint. Nothing. So, I wouldn't get my hopes up just yet. Better enjoy Chapter 5 for what it is. And that's it. That's everything we know so far about Puppy Playtime Chapter 5 as of today. If you've seen any new info, drop it in the comments. See you next time!